Welcome to the Business Insider Podcast, where we interview the top business leaders in their respective industries. Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm excited to introduce a special VIP guest. We've got Jonathan Mentor here. He is the founder and CEO of a company called Successment, and they specialize in delivering recurring revenue for startups through RevOps as a managed service. Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, man.
It's a real pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. Very happy you can make it as well. So as you know, I've got a bunch of questions lined up for you, and I'm sure our audience is wondering, specifically what you guys do and really what the major outcomes are for your clients that work with you. So before the podcast, you would kind of given me a brief rundown on what that looked like. If you wouldn't mind reiterating that to the audience, that'd be amazing.
Sure. So we focus on underrepresented startups in the United States and Latin America. And the end result of everything that we do always ends in recurring revenue streams. And it's important to note because sometimes startups think about revenue as just sales. And I always like to say to startups that sales really isn't enough to scale a startup. So the way that we deliver recurring revenue is through a discipline called RevOps, or revenue operations. Revenue operations aligns the central business units that deliver recurring revenue to businesses, namely your marketing, your sales, your customer success slash retention, and your product departments, by making sure that they're aligned on revenue outcomes and that all the data that's being shared within those departments all move in the direction of scalable revenue.
Makes perfect sense. Now, if you were to define your power or the unique skill or insight that really sets you apart in your space, what would it be and how has it shaped your success?
Sure. I think that having recurring revenue outcomes as the only metric that we really measure ourselves on really makes us stand out. Because you can have people like sales trainers, right? And they will assist you in delivering sales, but those sales, who's to say that those sales are going to be retained? Who's going to say that those sales are going to turn into a larger customer spend, right? That's not sales job. Or they'll think about things like marketing, and marketing delivers awareness and conversion. But again, those conversions don't always turn into sales. Or they'll think about like really hardcore retention. And that retention, just with inflation alone, year over year, isn't going to help you scale unless you have a mechanism with product or service, depending on the kind of business that you are, in order to continue to help grow. So the way that we look at that as a revenue operations ecosystem and not just a sales or marketing device is really what sets
Yeah.
Successment apart.
Makes perfect sense. So I'm curious, what kind of inspired you to pursue your current path, Jonathan? I mean, how'd you get here, man?
Sure. So successment is a word that I invented, and it actually means your success plus, yeah, your success plus your commitment equals successment. You get it? Like it's a play on
Yes, that's
words.
awesome. Love
And it
that.
came out of, yeah, it came out of my commitment to helping underrepresented people just get ahead, right? And underrepresented is a really broad term, but it means anybody that's basically an underdog, because technology is a really tough field to break into. It's kind of like the new school Wall Street. Like in the 80s and 90s, everybody wanted to get into finance, and it was tough to get in because people were making tons of money and, really advancing economies. And now I really see that as tech. So I really wanted to democratize access to the resources, real first class Silicon Valley grade resources to help those startups get off the ground. And I see that in me because I was one of those underrepresented people without a college degree, without any formal training, without any extensive network. And I managed to navigate myself into a company that's been doing business and delivering results for startups since 2019.
That's amazing, man. No, I love that. That's an awesome journey, and I love how you've kind of made that point about like it's really tech now. Like finance is obviously still a huge industry, but that was the sexy thing back before the 2000s. Tech is definitely sexy right now, which kind of leads
Yeah.
me into my next topic, which is AI. Everybody's talking about it. There's new agents coming out every day. How is AI impacting your industry, and are you utilizing it?
Yeah, of course. I think AI is just like any other technology advancement. At first, everybody like really, really scared of it. I mean, circa what is it? Circa 1960, 1970. Don't watch the TV. It's gonna melt your bro. Oh my God, is this big sensational thing. I'm confident that AI, if used as what it's intended to be used as, which is a tool to accelerate goals and to make things easier, I think that once people get the hang of it, number one, they understand what the benefits and consequences are. They can look at it rather than as an opportunity, as a real priority to accelerate their businesses. And I see a number of different AIs just really helping, like in the day to day. AIs like Gemini or AIs like ChatGPT are really innovating, and I think that there's a huge opportunity that's going to come around in the world of marketing, where you're going to see a shift and an investment from just hardcore search engine optimization to AI search optimization, so that your name or your business pops up when ChatGPT spits something back out to you.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, we definitely use AI in many components of our businesses, whether that's for efficiencies or lowering costs. I mean, there's a lot of great use cases for it. So, definitely appreciate what you're saying. Now, how powerful has networking been for success? And what would you recommend other entrepreneurs do to up their game?
Networking was probably the number one ingredient after determination, honestly. And it's funny because I always feel so actually weird talking about this, but it is important to really highlight mindset. Like when you're in the beginning of your journey, you don't realize how important that mindset piece is. So you go to people for advice, or you go to people for opportunity, and you're just like, just give me the fucking opportunity. And people are just like, no, you're not ready. And then you don't know what that no manifests into. And it's really about like, well, you're not ready to receive this information, right? I can put a gavel in the hands of a doctor. He's a smart guy. He doesn't know the law, so he's not going to do a really, really good job. So as it applies to networking, for me, it was the absolute game changer. I went out there back in the day when LinkedIn was really, really stuffy and boring, and everybody had suits and nasty portraits and glasses with like a corporate background that nobody uses anymore. And if anybody does, take it down. But and I would just hit up everybody in my industry. And I'm talking about like CEOs. I'm talking about like Fortune 500, and I would simply ask them the one-liner, "What can I do to earn 15 minutes of your time just to listen to what you have to say? No strings." And you'd be surprised how humbling that was to people in upper echelons and stuff like that, and how many opportunities were thrown my way, and how many introductions were thrown my way, and how it helped me to position myself as a person with very little experience. I was very junior, to really get in rooms with people. And when you get there, you realize that the people in they're all the same people. These are the tastemakers, the influencers, and the leaders. And once you get your name in those conversations, all you really have to do is have a little bit of talent, and you're gonna make it really well.
Yeah, that's an amazing insight. I can definitely credit a lot of my success to networking connections I've made, the mentors that I have. It's definitely very important to get that dialed in as an entrepreneur. So, what is one of the biggest challenges you've had to face as an entrepreneur? How did you overcome it? And what is one lesson you learned from that experience?
The biggest one was imposter syndrome. It gets really intense. As a matter of fact, I'll tell
Mm,
you a story. Um, I remember there were two roles that I had before I started Successment, and one of them was as a Starbucks barista. And I would always look on the other side of the Starbucks counter, and I would always wonder, like, man, like, why them? Why do they get to like walk around with their cocker spaniels and their fur coats on like a Wednesday afternoon with like seemingly no responsibility, aka rich, and I'm sitting here like serving them their fucking coffee? Like, that's not fair. Like, why is this happening to me? And then I realized that was such a victimhood mentality, and I was like, I can do anything I fucking want. This is the United States. I went ahead and I decided to put my foot down and really move in that direction. And then I got my first job in corporate. And when I got into corporate, it was kind of like a dog chasing cars. I was like, oh my God, I have like my own office. I'm sitting at a computer and air conditioning. I'm working with my brain and not my time. Like, what do I do now? And what I decided to do was get really, really curious and be really, really disruptive. And that led me into, creating my own agency and creating opportunities and really delivering outcomes to clients and really being obsessed with their stories and their outcomes and what was really important to them. But along the journey with the ebbs and flows of entrepreneurship, you got to talk about the dip. And I know all these like stupid ass gurus and stuff they never talk about that. Like their life is like Maseratis and I'm so successful. And it's just like, no, no, there were months where I couldn't pay my fucking light. And now Successman does a couple of $1 million a year now. Like now we're an official, economy impacting
yes,
business.
sir.
Um, so going through those motions where business was really slow, or it was just a season where we were just not getting anything and we were working really, really hard. exercising those muscles, the resilience, the imposter syndrome, the learning how to navigate really difficult things that you're not familiar with, those are the really, really big challenges. But once you get to the other side of that, it's like going to the gym, right? Like you look back and it's like a before and after, like, oh my God, I can't believe who I was. And then you look in the mirror and you're like, this is who I am now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Now, in a rapidly changing world, where do you see your industry headed over the next 5 to 10 years?
I think that the industry overall is going to continue moving in the direction of revenue operations and RevOps. I think that it's been something that has been like a buzzword. It's a concept that's been around forever, for as long as businesses have been businesses. But really framing it and having the methodology, like for example, we use RevOps Science, which is proprietary. And to be quite frank, it's nothing special. It's just an easy way to unpack something that's a really sophisticated, complicated thing to deploy in your business, which is aligning different business verticals in order to get recurring revenue. And I think that right now in startup and in tech, there are a lot of conversations about, excuse me, there are a lot of conversations about like raising capital and pitching and accelerate. And it's just like, that's
Yeah,
so great. But this is a business, not a hobby. Just because it's tech, it doesn't make it particularly special. You have to have a plan to deploy, which is a
right.
strategy. But then that strategy actually has to launch. And then sometimes what happens is that you get really humbled because with all that wonderful planning and enthusiasm and vision and passion, like your strategy sucks. And then you got to go back to the drawing board and learn how to generate revenue and stop constantly pitching and
Then they
pitching and
call you.
pitching for
Then they call you.
VCs. Yeah, like, and a quick parenthesis on that particular strategy is that there are a lot of startups and founders who really put a lot of resources into pitching to get capital and capital and capital and capital. And the reason why they find it so difficult is because they don't have a proven business model yet, right? If you're on the side of VC, I would rather you tell me that you have 25 customers who are at least paying you $1 a month before you come and ask me for $1 million in revenue, instead of you saying, I'm gonna show you the TAM of my industry. We have the potential to, we just need that one introduction. If your entire business model relies on my capital and my business introduction, how good of a business idea is it?
Right. Yeah. No, yeah, not really a very good one. Yeah. Yeah, that's ridiculous. So what advice would you give to someone aspiring to follow in your footsteps, whether that's as an entrepreneur or, kind of getting into the whole startup and RevOps space?
Right. So we have a campaign, and this campaign we got nominated for in 2024. And the campaign is called Provoke Visibility, and the nomination was from the United Nations World Summit Awards. And what Provoke Visibility means is provoking economic growth and visibility for underrepresented startups. And the reason why that's very dear to my heart, and I'm really passionate about it, is because it really only takes you just gotta go. You gotta go and not be self-conscious about the experience and the other people in the room and if they look like me and this and this and that. That's all noise. I've always told people, like, you cannot sit here and tell me that the odds are stacked against you, because I have all of the odds stacked against me that you could potentially imagine. And we're talking about from background to resources to economics to everything that you can imagine. Like, I was not supposed to be here and I made it, and it was nothing that was particularly special about me other than I had resilience to do it, and I didn't let other people limit me, and I didn't let ideologies limit me. I was just like, I want to work in tech. I want to be one of the, I want to be creating impact, economic impact. I want to create outcomes for really, really good people. And I think that this is my gift to my generation, to my community, to all the people that work around me, because what we deliver is recurring revenue outcomes. So when these startups go and they start delivering recurring revenue, that's taxes, that's employment, that's local economies, that's small businesses that they can help, that's families and communities. So it's a really interesting snowball
Yeah.
effect. And in order for you to get in, you just have to believe that you can and just walk in that direction. And I know it's really, really hard to hear when you're that guy that I was behind the Starbucks counter. You got to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning. You got to go and serve coffee because that's how you pay your bills. But if you don't get off that hamster wheel, eventually you're going to stay there. So you got to go.
I think that's amazing advice because I definitely agree. And I think a lot of people, I think most people can agree that when they're raised and they're told, go to this college, go to this 9 to 5 job, it's like you get stuck on the hamster wheel. But at the same time, you also just think like, I'm not good enough to be rich. Like I don't have what those guys have. I'm not. But when you actually look at, both of us are entrepreneurs, so we understand what actually makes or breaks an entrepreneur. It has nothing to do with some crazy skill set or, their IQ is off the charts. It's
Because
literally,
those are the people that we hire, Riley. We
yes,
hire those skill sets. We hire those IQs. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. The biggest thing is the guys who just don't give a fuck about what other people think. That's it. That's literally all you need. Follow what you believe in, follow what you want to do. If you want to make more money and have financial freedom and you don't care what other people think, that is the most valuable thing you can have as an entrepreneur.
I agree. I want to add a parenthesis to that because I agree with everything that you said. I think that what sets a successful entrepreneur apart from a struggling entrepreneur or a freelancer is the ability to recruit and empower and lead people based on your vision
Sure.
because it's very difficult to be like a personality and a brand in that way. Not everybody can be Oprah and Tony Robbins, right? But there are a lot of people that can be like a Google or a Pathmark or, there's company, it's called a company for a reason, right? And you have to be really skillful at inspiring other people to help you carry out your vision, especially when you can be conscious enough to notice what your strengths and weaknesses are. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big vision brands guy, right? My business partner, who now, I awarded her 2 years ago with 15% of Successment. She's a very detail oriented operations person. She doesn't like cameras. She doesn't like creating content. She likes numbers. She likes dealing with problems. She likes being with she likes uncomfortable situations. I don't like uncomfortable situations. I'm not going to lie. So finding the team, at least the landing team around you who really, and it's important to highlight that it can't be an echo chamber. It can't be your buddies and friends, people who think the same way as you. No, no, no. You need people who don't think like you, who don't do what you do, who know how to fill in the blanks for you. And you have to be able to convince them to work towards your vision so that you can carry it out as a
Yeah.
team.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Now, if you wanted the viewers to take one thing from this interview or impart with one final idea, what would that be?
Always when you start a business, you always want to start with three things, right? You want to start with your end goal, and my favorite end goal is always in recurring revenue, right? So, how much money do I want to make? Don't tell me rich. Don't tell me successful. Tell me how much that means to you. Is it $1 million? Is it 200,000? Is it 30 million? Is it 100 million? Is it a billion? You can do it, right? But you need to have that end goal. You need to have that goal in mind. Then the second is your timeline, right? Okay, if you want to be a millionaire, right? Oh, I want to be a millionaire. Woo, it sounds so good. Okay, by when? Are you giving yourself 3 months, 6 months, 5 years, 10 years, 60 years? Because then that's going to determine how the difficulty level, right? And then the resources, because you need to determine the resources that you have, the resources that you don't have, the resources that you provision, and then come up with a budget to fund that. It's very, very simple. It's a very simple equation. And there are a lot of people out there who want to oversimplify the thing and overcomplicate the thing, and it's not that difficult. In a nutshell, my advice to entrepreneurs is always remember the diet and fitness industry, right? How many gadgets and diets and pills and books can you buy about what you already know? Eat less and exercise more. It's not complicated. Neither is entrepreneurship.
I think the comparison you made there at the end is a great example. It's definitely people overcomplicate health. I mean, I will say I do have Lyme disease, so there is like a lot of supplements and herbs and stuff I have to take. But aside from that, someone who does not have a disease, someone that is healthy or, wants to be healthy, maybe they're obese, they have no actual serious diseases. It's like sleep, eat healthy, eat real food. It's not hard. Eat real food, sleep, exercise, and you will probably live a very, very good life. And it's like you don't need the sauna, the cold plunge, the blue light blockers, the fucking there's so many
The
fucking
yoga.
yeah, it's retarded. It's like, yeah, if you have the money and you want to keep optimizing your health, right? Go for it. If you want to do red light therapy, if you want to do get a chiropractor, like you can do those things, but like don't skip the big three. And it's the same principle with business, for sure.
Exactly. Exactly.
And Jonathan, if there any of our viewers, out there watching today want to connect, collaborate, or even work with you guys, what would be the best way for them to get in contact?
Right. So you can find me anywhere on the internet. Jonathan J Mentor. You can find me on Google, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm one of the few, I think, CEOs who still always interact with their community. So there's not like a bot or an assistant answering those questions or responding to DMs. It's that it's me. So if you want to
It's
reach out,
Jonathan.
I mean, I do get a lot of messages. I'm not gonna lie about that. But as long as you catch my eyeballs and whatever it is that you're writing to me sounds reasonable, then I'm gonna respond. And if you're somebody that I think I can help, then I'm gonna help you.
Awesome. Well, guys, I'm going to link all of Jonathan's stuff in the description. So definitely go check out what he's up to. And Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, man. It was such a pleasure having you here, man.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Anytime.